So man-eaters are one of those units you don't see terribly often in Total War Warhammer competitive. Occasionally you'll see like a niche great weapon unit, for example, in matchups in which you're expecting a bunch of large, and man-eater pistols have had a lot of, time in the sun. They were recently nerfed, they did get a cost increase, but we did also get the powder guts, which are the new ROR variant. So this is going to be continuing my series of exploring things in terms of competitive play, seeing if they have any applications, and what better way to test man-eaters than just a pure man-eater build. So the entire build is basically man-eater units. I think I have a couple Noblars as well as, there's one Warnfang Cav against Khorne here. So we're facing off against Professor Pone, and we're just trying them out to see how they do. So we do have the Powder Guts. If you guys haven't seen these guys, they're pretty cool. They do have the adaptive tactics. So when they get attacked by like Furies or Khorne Dogs and they start to lose in combat, they get a massive combat buff. I'm talking 74 melee attack and 76 melee defense. These guys can actually fight them off and do pretty well. And of course, man-eater pistols have been meta against Khorne for a long time. They're really good against halberds and spawn, and some Khorne players just basically spawn halberds and spawn against you, and that's it. And they just push up because the spawn are going to be really high DPS against your entire army for the most part, and the halberds, again, anti-large against ogres. I don't need to explain that. So we got the powder guts here, and the rest of the army is going to be the Captain Jack Sparrow build. So it's going to be the man-eaters, and what they do is they're kind of like ogre bulls, but just better combat stats, huge armor piercing, and I believe they have more HP as well. So yeah, man-eaters, even against like Khornate halberds and things like that, if you manage to like get them unbraced, they can do a bunch of damage and really, really thump your opponent down, which is pretty cool. So we got two of those. And obviously Khorne Dogs are pretty massive in this matchup, and Khorne loves to use Khorne Dogs to like harass your flanks and take your side objectives. So I'm like, let's get some man-eater great weapons to try and surround the greater demons, to fight the spawn units, and yeah, even against base infantry, they're probably not going to be terrible. So our Lord is basically just a healer with some of the combat buffs for the ogres. And now for the forces of Khorne, it's going to be not like super standard, but we do have Chaos Warriors of Khorne backed up by halberds, a couple units of basic Chaos Warriors here, and the Hellforged Host as well, who are a super, super cool unit. So a little bit off meta from Pone as well. Hellforged Host isn't like amazing against ogres, but they still do hit very hard and can clear out the chaff. So if you want to bring like a Bloodletter, because they're faster, can get to the objectives quicker, and can clear out the Noblars and get to the juicier parts of the army. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you have the Hellforged Host on like an Ogre Bull, they're going to tear them to shreds and barely take any damage. But up in the sky, we do have an Exalted Bloodthirster as well as some spawn of Khorne, and up in the bushes, some Fleshhounds. So the Powder Gut's going to be coming in, some downtown MLG shots, the Nuln colors. I'm actually working on my Empire tabletop army right now, and I'm thinking about doing like, it's mainly Talabheim and Reichland, the classic red and white, but I'm thinking of doing like a powder regiment in my army that is going to be from Nuln or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, very good range, and I like the Powder Guts actually. Like, I thought they were going to be a bit of a meme since they were so expensive, but the range difference is really nice. You can see we get some nice picks here, a couple hits on the Hellforged Host. We also took out a halberd unit and did some HP damage. So now the great weapons are moving up a little bit. I thought he was going to dive me with the Exalted Bloodthirster. I wasn't sure. So I wanted to pull those bad boys up and make sure we were nice and cozy. And once again, the Powder Guts still just being awesome units, and sitting there with their, what are those hats actually called? Can somebody tell me? Some historian, what that kind of style of hat is. But they have some pirate apparel as well. So the Captain Jack Sparrow build is indeed intact. So Breath Attack coming in from the Greater Demon. And obviously I saw Khorne Dogs hanging out on my side flank here. And what's really funny about man-eaters is a lot of people will just look at them and assume they're ogre bulls, and this actually does end up happening in this game as well. The Fleshhounds of Khorne probably going to go and attack these man-eaters because normal ogre bulls would get annihilated, right? So yeah, but they have anti-large, and they're going to be able to fight back against the Khorne Dogs pretty well, which is something that not many units can say in this game, that they have efficient trades against Khorne Dogs. So shooting into the Hellforged Host and those other units, we do get the Furies coming in from the forces of Khorne, so they're going to be chasing the boys down. And now we are in more or less full retreat. So the Man-Eater Great Weapon's going to move into fight. Here they come. They got their headbands on, baby. Ready to get those big great weapons and start beating down some of these demonic hounds. And they'll certainly be very good against them. The hounds are large size. They're not infantry size, so you're going to be getting a benefit there. Now the Jack Sparrow Legion's going to be heading in there, swarming, and we do get the Power Fist Ogres there on the Chaos Warriors with halberds, and a nice gooning attempt from Khorne. And if you're going to go for a big, expensive Lord, you got to get these kind of value plays, and Professor Pone here does use the Deathbringer, and he's going to be just absolutely spanking that Ogre as he tries to flee. So just trying to get away right now and not die. I didn't expect to die that quickly, but Deathbringer's quite scary. But the Mournfang Cav with great weapons were summoned in, and these guys are actually quite good against the Greater Demon. They hit very, very hard with the 120 damage a pop and a great anti-large bonus there. So yeah, we got our fight in the front. In the back, you could see the adaptive tactics have kicked in. No, they haven't, because they're not losing, obviously. They're winning slightly. But if there was like another unit jumping on them, like Khorne dog quality units, that probably would kick in here. So the man-eaters with pistols able to fend off Furies, and you know, that's one of the big things in the Khorne matchup is why man-eater pistols have always been good, is because they can fend off Fury units. Now, on the other side of the battlefield, we have our man-eaters, and the Khorne dogs did take the dreaded bait. So the man-eaters are getting their big old crumpin' hammers, and they're going to be showing these dogs who's boss. Certainly taming the beasts of Khorne. And looking at the damage they took, though, that's honestly not bad, because man-eater great weapons do cost 1,400 gold, and Khorne dogs cost, what, like 700 or something? So I think 2 Khorne dogs would decisively defeat a man-eater unit. So in terms of like cost effectiveness, that trade was actually like almost perfectly mathematical in terms of their cost. Like 700 took out 700 value off a man-eater, right? So the Great Demon's going over here now. Looks to be trying to get a quick break on these guys. So Pone going for a big maneuvering play. He's got his Flesh Hounds and different units moving over to the side of the battlefield. It looks like he's going to be trying to break these man-eaters. But I do end up using the Troll Guts on them, which is a pretty fat heal. And they're putting some hurt on the Greater Demon, but I need to get my troops here now. And this is why Mournfang Cav in this matchup might be a bit of a sleeper pick. So it's kind of the point of these replays these days, is trying unorthodox units that you guys don't see terribly often. And this is also why man-eater great weapons are great too, right? They come in and just crump these spawn, just the big, thick pirates, dropping the hammers of justice on these foul demons. And, you know, if somebody's got to do the justice, the ogres, of course, you know, they, got an interesting philosophy in life, that's for sure. Not much to eat here, but I guess they could eat the spawn. You know, it's a little bit of a questionable. Maybe it's like one of those, you know, stinky cheese type things, right? Something very foul, but there's a you know, a taste for it. Now, this is what's really scary about bringing big lords against ogres, is they have insane mass. If you get surrounded by ogres like this, so the Mournfang Cav came in, and I think that Pone was hoping that his hounds plus the demon would get a quick break on the man-eaters, but man-eaters are actually immune to psychology, so they're not going to get terror routed by this greater demon like regular ogre bulls would. So they stand and fight, and then suddenly, you know, he's in danger. It's like it's call the ambulance, but not for me. It's like, you know, the Exalted Bloodthirster guy's trapped here, and Dismember is on, his speed is now 38, and Pone's trying to escape, but you can look at the mass of each of these Mournfang Cav. It's pretty fat, I think. Let's look. Yeah, so it's, oh my god, 3,500 mass on these guys. So the demon, I think, is around the same ballpark, and you can see he just gets absolutely circle beaten right here. So that's looking pretty grim for the Demons of Khorne. We also get another ambush here, and, you know, any Khornate warriors, man-eaters are going to be very good against them. 110 weapons ranked at pop. They hit very, very hard. They have a high model count. They are certainly not messing about. And you can see halberds are also being pushed up by Khorne, but if you summon in some Noblars to engage the halberds and then bring in the man-eaters with their huge armor piercing, they can do some huge, huge damage here. And you can see the big ogre boys able to certainly crump for the Maw, and looking like a good cleanup here. These guys are going to be pushed back. We get our big cinematic fight in the middle as the Noblars, the true Chads of the Ogre Kingdoms. Imagine being the absolute shittiest unit in the old world and just going charging in fisticuffs against like the scariest demon infantry like out there, right? And the Hellforged Host, you know, they certainly don't take any damage really. A couple little pokes here and there. Man-eaters with great weapons though, and the other man-eaters able to overwhelm the halberds. And that's what's cool about ogres. They do ignore like a little bit of charge defense if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and actually read the tooltip. Wallbreaker and Ogre Charge, yeah. So when attacking, it only loses half of its charge bonus, yeah, if they're braced. So they still get their charge bonus no matter what. So that's pretty cool with Ogres, like timing those alpha strikes and really getting a lot of punch in there. But the Hellforged Legion is going to hold for a little bit longer, but it's pretty surrounded. We got the 2 capture points now, so we got 2 and we got 1 in the back. Khorne has some halberds back here, but when the Hellforged Host falls, it's probably going to be game blouses, and they certainly will. You know, man-eaters, even the pistol variants, are very good fighters. And the Hellforged Host, again, is designed more for infantry and objective control. And in the Ogre matchup, they don't have too many applications, I don't think, but still look really cool. So you got to bring them for the style builds. But there you have it. GG, well played. And again, really fun match. Obviously, Pone didn't bring the most competitive build. We were both kind of messing around, and that's what I like to do when I'm not like playing in tournaments or training for tournaments, is try weird ass builds like this, right? Because then you get to kind of discover the applications of units that you otherwise, people don't really give a chance terribly often, but hopefully you guys got to see the applications of man-eaters. Now, I don't think a mass man-eater build is going to be good in a really, really competitive tournament, but maybe throwing in like a man-eater or 2 or a great weapon or 2 against Khorne isn't a bad idea, right? Not great value here, but they lived and they did fine. Good value there. The Powder Guts paid for themselves and are just about, and we're still very healthy. But the Mournfang Cav were huge MVPs. Wow, trapping the Greater Demon and killing him was obviously the game-winning play. If I didn't trap the Greater Demon, would have been a close game for sure. So, GG, well played. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, with some more replay soon, and that is it for now.